A few weeks ago, I got an invite to go to Israel on behalf of a group, a Israeli-based charity or support group. Unfortunately, my diary meant I couldn't make it and keep running the platform. But one New Zealander who did go was property and business commentator and business person, Ashley Church. And Ashley's back from Israel now, and I want him to tell me, Ashley, what I missed out on.
Well, g'day, Sean. So firstly, just let me reiterate what that guy just said, and thank you for your ongoing support of Israel, because it's hugely appreciated. And just to in that context, let me just be very clear. I have a partisan bias on this. I'm a very strong supporter of Israel. So, I didn't go over there unsure of what I thought, and sort of come back converted. So having said that, it's an extraordinary country. What you missed was this tour that you just mentioned has been going on for some years, and previously it's been about sort of talking about the context of the political situation over there and giving some insight into what's happened over the last sort of 70 odd years. This tour, for obvious reasons, was very much around the events of 7 October last year. So it was very much around showing what had happened.
10 days or something you were there, Ashley?
5 days.
5 days.
It was a pretty full 5 days, yeah. So it started, Sean, for obvious reasons, it started with a visit to the Nova Music Festival site, which is in southern Israel and not too far from the Gaza border. And that was one of the major sites. In fact, it was the major site of that terrorist attack which took place last year. So there were hundreds of people who were basically just party goers going along to a festival on the evening of the 6th of October, who woke up at 6:30 in the morning on the 7th of October and found themselves under attack by Hamas terrorists. That was really eye-opening. I understood what had happened intellectually, but actually going there and seeing it and seeing the terrain, how those people had been attacked, how they woke up that morning.
I can remember and watching, Ashley, the videos that were taken by the Hamas people, one guy hiding under a car, and you're sitting there watching this from a fixed camera, you think, it's all right, he's going to be all right. And no, someone comes back with their AK-47 and shoots under the car and kills him. It was horrific.
It was horrific. And it was indiscriminate, hundreds of people. And when you go there now, in the main area where the concert took place, there's an area with a whole lot of sticks with the photographs of the various different victims, and there were just hundreds of them there. It's acting as a kind of permanent memorial to what took place. So there was that. There was a visit to a kibbutz. There were a number of kibbutzim which were attacked. We visited one, which had been extensively damaged by
We're going to
grenades.
talk, I think, later in the week to a survivor of that attack here on the program.
Yes, we did, and that's fantastic. So he'll be great, and that's a great opportunity to hear what took place. We had a briefing from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Israeli equivalent of ours, and they gave us a pretty good indication of what had taken place. They also showed us, and it's not being shown to the Israeli public for obvious reasons, but they also showed us an hour and a half long video of some of what had taken place. And what they'd done there, Sean, is they had actually put together a mosaic of various different video footage. So some of it had come from... Yeah. Now, here's the horrifying thing about that. It came from a variety of different sources, including, and you probably know this, Sean, but your listeners may not, including GoPros on the forehead.
They were told to document and send the footage of their attack back to Hamas headquarters for propaganda purposes. Yeah, it is. And it is still one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in my life.
And when you watch that, Sean, it's like watching people at a football game. It's the hysteria, the euphoria that were amongst these terrorists about what they had just done and what they were about to do was extraordinarily disturbing, and it was like going to a football game where your team was winning. Just horrific stuff. And the other thing we did, so one of the themes that came through in this thing for me, which was really important, was this: is that despite those attacks and despite what I've just told you, there was an enormous degree of resilience which has taken place within that country, despite what's happening in the international community. And it's a kind of an example of that. We went north to Haifa. Haifa's a northern city. And it's close to the northern border. And, of course, the northern border is close to Lebanon, and Lebanon's where some of those attacks are now taking place from Hezbollah. And so there's a hospital there which is a car park, an underground car park, which goes down 3 levels below the hospital, and they have moved the entire hospital underground. And they've created the biggest underground hospital in the world. And it's been done in a no-nonsense way. This thing's gone underground. We went down, we visited it. There's a maternity ward. There's surgery taking place. There's all of the normal procedures that you would normally expect in a hospital, but all underground, so that if an attack were to take place from the north, they can just continue doing what they're doing. And, in fact, they can receive injuries that might take place as a result of that attack. So that was extraordinary. And that was probably the enduring theme that I took from this thing, was the enormous sense of resilience from Israelis. And when I say Israelis, and this is really important, I'm not just talking about Jews, I'm talking about Arabs, I'm talking about Bedouins, I'm talking about Christians, I'm talking about Druze, I'm talking about a whole range of people that are citizens of that nation. And that's the other thing I think that probably people don't understand, or if they do, they're perhaps being, their views of it are being determined by external sources. When you talk about Israel, you're talking about a nation of 10 million people, of whom 2 million, Sean, are actually Arab in descent. And those are the people, they're the percentages.
It would be fair that I say, though, Ashley, not all groups have equal voting rights.
So the 2 million that I just mentioned have absolutely equal voting rights. And let me give you a really quick snapshot. There are actually 4 different groups of Arabs that reside within that area. So the first 2 groups are the people that are descendants of the refugees, the people that basically fled from Israel during the 1948 War of Independence by Israel. And so those people ended up being refugees. Some of them ended up in Gaza, and on the other side, they ended up in the West Bank. And those people are essentially self-governing and receive significant aid from the UN. There's a third group, and the third group are the people who came under Israeli control after 1967. So those are the people that were in Jerusalem, the part of Jerusalem that Israel conquered, and those people were offered citizenship of Israel. They chose not to take it, so they have essentially Israel ID documents. They have most of the same rights of Israelis, except they can't vote.
Well, most of the people in 1967, there'd be a whole lot of people born since then who probably never got the option, did they?
Well, I would imagine that option's still open, but they've chosen for a variety of reasons that I won't bore you with, not to accept that at this stage. But they have all of the same rights of Israelis, except they can't vote in national elections. They do vote in municipal elections. But there's another group, and this is really important, and this is the group that the media don't tell us about. And those are the people who didn't leave Israel in the 1948 War of Independence. Their descendants, so those are the people who said, okay, we'll stay, we'll work with the Israelis to build a nation. There's now 2 million of them, Sean, 2 million Arabs who reside in Israel. They have exactly, and this is the bit I want your listeners to understand, they have exactly the same rights as every other Israeli. They are Israeli citizens in every sense, with one exception, and that exception is that Jews must serve in the military. Arab Israelis don't have to. They can, but they don't have to.
So military service isn't compulsory.
That's compulsory for them.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Can I ask you, Ashley, overall, when you're in Israel, and I know 5 days is a short time, is it a country at war?